human being of Earth, it is high time for you to change for the better and for the good. By Billy Edward Albert Meier. The period of time of the 21st century and of the third millennium brings about gigantic and cataclysmal events for you, your Earth and its nature, which you will have to meet with intellect and rationality. The new century and millennium will bring events which you would never have imagined and which aren't solely of cosmic natural origin, but rather created by you due to your unintellect and your irrationality. It is not only those events which keep rolling across the worlds and universes endlessly, but rather those which you are to blame for. The coming events are therefore bearing witness to what you have destructively created by your obstinacy and are furthermore creating with regard to the destruction of nature, climate change, and impairment of the atmosphere. However, they also bear witness to the senselessness of your worldwide transportation of goods and of mass tourism, whereby diseases, epidemics as well as strange seeds and plants are being spread into foreign countries, among human beings, animals and among creatures as well as within the plant life, whereby many deaths are being brought about and changes and destructions are being caused in fauna and flora. Where in the world have you gone and where are you continuing to go on in your obstinacy, human being of Earth, out of which you are causing pernicious changes and damage to nature and to the planet, are living in hatred and urge for revenge and wars? Considering that you have spent a mere 250 years during the last 10,000 years, during which no acts of war had swept across Earth, then this should be an impulse for you to finally create peace. Truly, there is neither a God nor a religion which can bring you true love, peace, freedom and harmony, no matter how submissively fawning you or beseechingly throwing yourselves into the dust in ardent prayer. Only you and you alone have the power and the might to free yourself from all the terrible things, for you are your own Lord and Master, and only you and you alone determine your destiny and that of the whole of humankind. There is no God and no religion which you may expect help from and which can free you from all evil and bad. Only you and you alone bear the responsibility for anything and everything of your thoughts, feelings, deeds and actions. Therefore also only you alone are able to free yourself from hatred, urge for revenge, jealousy, urge for retaliation, lovelessness, unpeace and unfreedom as well as from Gewalt, strife, squabble, discord, disharmony, murder and manslaughter, from war, crimes of Gewalt, criminality and all the inhumane. However, up until now you haven't done this, but you have rather steadily let yourself fall further and deeper into the abyss of ruin. And you continue with this in like manner, whereas your steadily growing overpopulation is the main reason that all your self-created terrible things and destructive machinations are increasing further. You are hastening into emptiness with your thoughts and feelings, human being of Earth, straight into a dark and deadly future, and you will only be able to avert the worst of all, if you come to your senses, to rationality and intellect. You must put a stop to the senseless growth of the overpopulation as well as to all wars, all terror, hatred and unfreedom, and you must desist from your urge for revenge and jealousy, from your urge for retribution and quarrelsomeness as well as from your disinterest towards your fellow human beings and nature, the planet and its fauna and flora. You must overcome and put an end to your lovelessness, human being of Earth, in order to create true love and feelings for others within yourself, both for yourself and for your fellow human beings all over the world as well as for the fauna and flora, the whole nature and Earth itself. Human being of Earth, you must work your way out of the darkness of your unintellect and your irrationality, which you have fallen into out of the darkness, where the demons of hatred, of war, of murder and killing, of unpeace, of jealousy, of peacelessness, disharmony, of urge for retribution and for revenge, of hatred and of unfreedom have dug their claws into you, snarling and grinning diabolically. And if you do not turn round, in order to finally find a new beginning in true love and freedom, in peace and harmony together with your earthly humankind as a whole, then you will, in your obstinate delusion and in your addiction to creating an overpopulation as well as in your destructiveness, continue to extinguish yourself as well as the fauna and flora. If you do not decide for the better and the good and do not integrate yourself into the natural laws and do not follow them, then your own acting resulting from your obstinacy will crush you in the time to come, and mercilessly, like with the deadly slamming fist of a giant. It will also be the fist of your megalomania, by which you personally will determine your destiny. Owing to your obstinacy, your megalomania and your self-aggrandizement, you provoke your own revenge on yourself, formed from your own irrationality, which demands accountability from you. You cannot abdicate the responsibility for your doings and actions, as well as not for your false thoughts and feelings, by which you are leading yourself into disaster and are suggestively and forcefully bringing about an evil destiny. You are not leading your life according to the true sense of existence, for truthfully it is to a great extent only lies and deception, filled with hate, greed, lust and addiction, with murder, war and with other crimes and acts of Gewalt. Up until now, you have not fulfilled your life's purpose duty, but rather made use of your existence for waging war, for murdering and killing, for destruction, for the fulfillment of your greed for might, for envy, stinginess and for retaliation and revenge, for hatred of every kind and for greedy financial enrichment. Thus you have lost the being human in the real and true sense, and with it also your own dignity and the venerability for the ones next to you, the fellow human beings, the whole humankind, the planet and its nature, fauna and flora. You have not lived and do not live according to the creative natural laws, but only according to tremendously fallible laws, which you have made yourself and which will lead you far away from what is rightful, fair and righteous. Truly, you have disparagingly trampled true love, life's benevolence and all the laws of nature into the dirt, while the dignity anchored therein was sadly accepting your devilish actions, giving you a last chance over and over again, in order to eventually remind you of true love and faithfulness in the course of time and enabling you to find your way back to the natural, as this is given by the natural principles of existence. However, you, human being of earth, have consciously disregarded any ever so good opportunity and disparagingly dragged it through the mire. For due to your obstinacy, your self-aggrandizement and due to your megalomania, you wanted and still want to lead a life which satisfies your evil degeneracies. And today, as a matter of fact, you are leading a life in selfishness, lust and greed, in hatred, overbearance, greed for might and war, in destruction, jealousy, strife and discord, as well as in unpeace, unfreedom, disharmony and lovelessness. You neither bother about those next to you, even less about your fellow human being and about humankind as a whole, as well as not about good interpersonal relationships, nor about dignity and true humanity. This, however, takes its toll not only in the present time, but also in the future through the coming events and happenings, which can hardly be averted, if at all. Human being of earth, truly, you must undertake everything in order to being able to face this great and new time in a good and valuable measure, and so therefore, finally free yourself from your traditional, false and most destructive way of life, from your hatred against those next to you, against people who think differently and those who are of another religion. Also free yourself from your quarrelsomeness, from your mad addiction to war, revenge and retaliation. Move on from jealousy, stinginess and discord, as well as from the addiction to great riches, resentment and a numerous offspring, for all of these are degeneracies of evil. Avoid further overpopulation and turn yourself to the true joys of life, which are true and honest love, real peace, true freedom and ample harmony. Human being of earth, all of this concerns not only your whole humankind, but mainly you as an individual, for all those good many individuals form the humankind of this world, which is a diabolical and demonic world full of disharmony and darkness, because you have turned it into this as an individual and together with humankind as a whole. So you as an individual are asked to direct your life and the existence of the planet as well as its nature and fauna and flora towards the true life, love, peace, freedom and harmony. You must leave the paths of ruin, the path of disharmony with nature and the creative principles on which you are wandering about.